we saw that when we invest 1,000 rupees with the bank, and the bank promises us a 10% return every year, we get 100 rupees return every year. 10% of 1,000 is 100 rupees, and we basically withdraw these 100 rupees every year and save them separately. Okay, so we understood that the interest gathered after some amount of time, okay, that will be the constant value every year. And we took a generalized perspective to that, and we said that when you interest p rupees with the bank, the principal, the r% interest, okay, for n number of years, the total interest you'll be getting is PNR by 100. We derived this also, and we saw that the amount is nothing but the principal plus the simple interest. Okay, now let's look at the same example with a slightly different perspective. Okay, the spendthrifts or the investor's perspective, the smart perspective. And that is when I invest 1,000 rupees with the bank, and now the bank promises me 10% return. Okay, again, the same calculation. Okay, for the first year, I'll be able to get 100 rupees. Now I don't withdraw the 100 rupees and save them separately in my piggy bank. What I do is I add the 100 rupees to the principal. Okay, so now my new principal is 1,000 plus 100, 1,100 rupees. So for the second year, the interest I'll be getting is 100 rupees on the 1,000. Okay, and also 10% of 100, 10 rupees as the interest. Okay, this process of adding back the interest to the principal, it's called as compounding. And the interest so obtained, it's called as compound interest. Okay, so again, whatever interest I have obtained, 100 and 110, okay, we again reinvest with the bank. So now the principal becomes 1,000, 100, 110. So of third year pay, we'll get 10% on all of these values. Okay, we'll get 10% on the 1,000 rupees, the main principal. We'll get 10% on the 100 each, that is 10 rupees. And on the 10 rupees which I have reinvested, I'll get 1 rupee. Okay, again, the same interest, I just compound, or I just put it in the bank. Okay, my total investment changes, and accordingly, this is what happens, year on year. Okay, so this is what is the condition for compound interest. Unlike the simple interest, what you do in this case is you don't withdraw the amount which you get as the interest every year. Okay, you don't withdraw the interest every year, you compound it, you add it back to the principal. Okay, this is what is the principle which is being followed by the banks right now. Okay, if you have a fixed deposit, probably, okay, you might already know this. Okay, this is exactly what happens in the case of deposits nowadays in banks. Okay, so let us generalize this, and let's say if I invest 1,000 rupees with the bank, okay, I observe that in the first year I got 1,100 rupees ka interest, so the value became 1.1 times, right? In the next year, I add the 100 rupees which I obtained as the interest. I just add it to the principal. So now the new principal is 1,100 rupees. Okay, us pe bhi interest milega. Okay, so the new amount which will be getting is again 1.1 times. Okay, which is 1,210. Okay, similarly, 1,210 is now the principal. Us pe ab 10% milega apne ko, so 1,331. Okay, this is how it goes for n number of years. For the nth year, you'll be getting 1,000 multiplied by 1.1 raised to n. So guys, what do we observe here is basically, okay, every year, we get 1.1 times the amount. 1.1, 1.1, 1.1, 1.1. Abhi 1.1 basically aaya kahan se? This 1.1 is because of the 10% ka interest rate. Okay, this 1.1 is nothing but 1 plus 10 by 100, right? Okay, so since the principal is getting multiplied by 1.1, 1.1, 1.1 year on year for n number of years, okay, and I saw that the 1.1 is nothing but 1 plus 10 by 100, okay, we can say that the amount will be the principal 1,000 multiplied by 1 plus 10 by 100 for n number of years, right? Okay, now you can generalize this by saying that the amount at compound interest will be the principal 1,000 into 1 plus rate of interest upon 100, the whole raised to n. Okay, so it is an exponential relation. The amount is p into 1 plus r by 100 raised to n. Note that r is the compound interest, okay, which is compounded every n cycles. Okay, maybe number of years, number of months, okay, depending upon what is the cycle which you are considering. Okay, and if you want to calculate the interest, it will be the amount minus the principal in this case. So we'll solve a few questions now based on this. After how many years will 6,000 INR amount to 10,368 INR at the rate of 20% compounded annually? So your amount is 10,368. Your principal is 6,000. Okay, the rate of interest is 20%. You want to figure out the value of n after how many cycles? Basically, यहाँ पे yearly होगा cycle by, because the compounding is happening annually. Okay, So what you can do is you can cancel out 4, I think. Yes, 4 जाएगा. 4 2s are 8, right? उसके बाद 4 5s are 20. Okay, 4 9s are 36 and 4 2s are 8. वापस यहाँ क्या कटेगा? 1500 is equal to 1 plus 20 by 100. Yes, of course, we will be cancelling out a few more things. Okay, like you can cancel out, I think, 2. Right, so क्या बचेगा? 750. Okay, so 2 1s are, 2 2s are, 2 9s are, 2 6s are. Okay, and 750. Again, you can cancel out, I think, 2. Right, 2 6s are 12. Okay, 2 3s are 2 4s are 8, and 2 8s are 16. 375. You can also cancel out a 3, I believe. Okay, 3 2s are 6, 3 1s are 3, 3 6 are 18. Okay, and 3 125. So basically, this is 216 divided by 125. This is equal to 1 plus 20 by 100, the whole raised to n. Okay, the next step is we take, you know, if you write this, there's 216 upon 125. Okay, this will be nothing but 6 ka cube, right? 216 is 6 ka cube, and 125 is 5 ka cube. Okay, so the left hand side basically can be written as 1.2 the whole cube. 1.2 the whole cube is 1 plus 20 upon 100 the whole raised to 3. Comparing it with the right hand side, 1 plus 20 upon 100 the whole raised to n, the n value comes out to be equal to 3. Okay, now there is a much logical way to solve the question. Okay, apart from this, okay, what you can do is you can calculate the yearly interest and add them all to check 10 3 6 8 कब बन रहा है. Okay, so let's calculate. First year पे 20% मिलेगा 6000 का, 1200. In the next year you will get 1200 and the interest on this 1200 also. Okay, so this value पे भी you get 20% का interest, that comes out to be 240, right? Same thing. Okay, 1200. Okay, third year पे, and the interest on all the previous interests. So 1200 पे 240, 1200 पे 240, and on the 240 again you get 20%, that is 48. Okay, you add all these interests. So 12 से 1200, 1200 तीन बार 3600, 240, 240, 240 thrice, you get 720, and 48. When you add them, you get 4368. That's the total interest. Okay, and that is happening and giving you 10,368 as the amount. So if you observe, this happens in 3 years. That's your answer. Okay, so let's go on to the next part now. The next question: if the compound interest on a certain sum invested at 20% per annum for 2 years is 6,600 INR, find the sum. Okay, now there are multiple ways to solve the question. We'll discuss all of them. The first method is you directly make equations. You write the exponential equation 1 plus r by 100 raised to n, and you basically find out the value of p, the principal. Okay, so the compound interest is 6,600, right? So the amount will be how much? If you assume the principal as p, the amount will be p plus 6600. Okay, this amount is equal to principal into 1 plus r by 100 raised to 2, right? So this will be p plus 6600 divided by p will be, okay, this will be 1.2 the whole square, right? 1.2 the whole square is 1.44. So if you take the p on the right hand side, okay, then you have 0.44 p is equal to 6600. That gives you p as 6600 into 100 divided by 44. Okay, now you can keep the 100 undisturbed. Okay, reduce this part. Okay, so 44 ones are 44, 220, so 5s are 150 times. So the answer is 150 into 100, 15,000. Okay, that is of course one way to solve the question. Okay, very simple. All right, the other way we look at, okay, we'll assume the base as 100 and solve the question. Okay, let me say that the principal was 100 rupees. Okay, so in the first year at 20% rate of interest, the amount I'll be getting as the interest is 20 rupees. In the second year, I will get 20% of 100, that is 20. I will also get 20% of this 20, which is 4 rupees. Okay, now the total interest which you obtain here is for 20 plus 20 plus 4. This is 44. 44 corresponds to 6,600 in the question. Then 100 will correspond to what? You can cross multiply. You will again land up with this same equation. Okay, as simple as that. Okay, but there is a much logical and a very very smart and innovative way to solve the question. Okay, but that involves like great observation. Okay, and that might not come overnight. Okay, by solving a lot of questions you can come to that level. So what we are trying to do here is we are trying to break the number 6,600 as the interest for 2 years. Okay, in such a way that the extra interest should be 20% of the first year interest. It's happening here, of course it's happening here. Okay, the value which you got here 600 is 20% of 3,000, right? That means our distribution is absolutely correct, because that's exactly what happens in compound interest, right? In the second year, you also get the interest on the first year interest. Okay. So 20% of 3,000 is 600. Okay. That means the first year interest is 3,000. That is 20% of what? 15,000. That's the principle. Okay. If you understood this approach, well and good. If not, koi baat nahi. I want you all to just think about the three approaches we have seen to solve the same question, and choose which one suits suits the best, and try to apply that to solve the questions accordingly. Okay.